Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel-toe boots?
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
If we would have lost last year, our goal would be to win a championship this year.
Again, I think the hunger that we have and how we play, it's like how it was last year.
And it was never just about just trying to win one. So now it's just a conversation of how great are you trying to be.
Everybody's excited. We had a good summer, and we're looking forward to the season.
I'm always excited for the beginning of the season, the training camp. You know, it's like first day of school.
I'm ready to go. I'm excited about being back.
I'm so excited about tomorrow. You know, just the first practice, you know, we're able to get back here together and start looking ahead now.
And here we go, guys. Media Day upon us. Check it out. Look at these guys. They're talking.
Oh, look at this guy.
Look at this guy.
Exciting, of course.
He came in his uniform, too.
Look at that guy. He's
Bobby, did you put on 12 pounds of muscle like Jalen did?
We're hanging out.
So.
We're hanging out. Yeah, we're doing it. Bobby's there, asking his questions. His media day, haircut,
Looking sharp, kid.
looking sharp. All of it.
Real sharp.
And yeah,
Yeah,
look,
I'm excited.
First day of school, clothes on.
I can't wait. We're going to have a game a week from Friday to do and talk about and dig into. And I think this team will be a lot more interesting than last year's team. Not that last year wasn't great and amazing and the best thing ever, because it was, if you're a fan. This year, you actually have to do it again. It's probably going to be harder. You're going to need more from guys who you probably didn't rely on as much last year. So I can't wait to see all that. I'm obviously super excited about Shireman, who we didn't hear from today, but I think we'll see a lot of in the preseason. Kada. I'm going to mention Kada before Cornette, John. Surprisingly.
But
I'm
you
excited about it.
You're not
did it
really,
in the
though.
same sentence. Yeah.
I'm excited for that opportunity he's got early that is probably going to come. And
Sure you are, Bobby. Yeah.
let's see what Tatum and Brown do after these big snubs, after these big disrespects to both of them in the Olympics.
Yeah.
John's favorite day. John loves media day. A lot of good stuff coming out every year.
Oh, yeah. The access is unbelievable.
Get a good impression of the team and the camaraderie and the love that everyone has for each other.
Bobby, look, I said, I'm not going to lie. I skipped this one. I mean, I kind of drove by it.
Drove by the building?
Flipped them off as you went by.
No, but I mean, look, Bobby was there the whole time. Yeah, we did drive-bys. Nick was there for a little bit too. But Bobby was there and he took it all in. And like, you know, we all watched them and listened to everything they had to say. And I think a general takeaway vibe is for the most part, almost everybody, pretty chill, pretty relaxed, pretty like, let's friggin' go sort of vibe to it. And Bobby, would you agree?
Yeah, I think layered with some cautiousness too, right? And I think that came from Joe, that came from Brad. I don't know if that actually stems from anything that they're worried about or let down, hangover, all that, but they definitely seem guarded against that. Everybody else excited, confident, relaxed, weight off their shoulders for sure. And then you had Tatum.
Wow. Damn.
Which I'm not gonna say anything about it, but the Olympic thing's still there.
But
the Olympic thing's still there with him for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why he isn't able to just move on far past that as it was months ago.
Bobby, I'm gonna tell you why. I am one of the top 5, at worst, top 10 players, not just in the NBA, probably in the world. And I'm at the end of the bench at the kiddie table with, you know, for the Olympic team. Hell yeah, that's that. You're not going to let that go easily. Should he, Bobby? Should he? Absolutely. Will he? No. It is going to bother him all season long. I'm telling you.
But it's like, but he's going to say it's not, but it's got, he's going to
it's
do the
gonna be
Tatum
a
thing.
passive-aggressive thing. It
He's
really
going to do the
doesn't
Bobby
bother
thing.
me, but
I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like the fact that he was honest today. I'll give him that for sure.
But I'm not gonna.
You want him to lie, John? Lie to me.
I prefer lies. I'm not gonna lead with the Tatum. I'm not doing that because it's gonna sound like we are.
He's the most important player, John.
He is. So let's go through some of the we'll go through some of the headlines for today. There was a Ramona Shelburne ESPN article earlier, which kind of laid the groundwork for some stuff that was going to be talked about today, and that included a little bit about ownership and the switch here, which is by far the biggest and only story I think facing the team. Like, look, Porzingis has a short-term impact. How are they going to live without him for a little bit? Assuming he returns to full health, it's not a big deal. They can win the title from the 2 or the 3 seed if they stumble that badly in his absence. It's not a concern. The concern is if he doesn't return to full health, because big men and foot injuries, hi, Bill Walton, Kevin McHale, Yao Ming, like, you don't love this. So again, you want to see him. And once you do, it's fine. Anything that happened prior to that, no big deal. So the Porzingis thing hangs over their heads, but the ownership is the whole story. And they weren't really,
forthright.
The players are not equipped to be able to talk about this. The only person who matters, like whose job is affected, is Brad. Because he, like you've seen this, a company's about to be acquired and there's a hiring freeze, like don't do anything because I don't know the other guys are going to be cool with it. And that's where they're at right now. And he even did acknowledge, a couple of things about, maybe I would like to. It's cool that our roster's coming back, but I kind of like tweaking every once in a while. It's good to do that. You don't want to stagnate. You wonder how much leeway and latitude he had to do some of the things that he might have done normally in his general manager role. We don't actually know that. No one's coming out here and saying, Brad's not coming out here and saying, they told me not to do shit, but it's possible, right? So here's Brad. And again, we'll hit on the ownership briefly because it's important, but there's not much we're going to know here. Here's Brad talking about it.
There's not much that we are doing. Obviously, it's out of our hands. As I've said before, I'm super thankful to Wick and Irv and their family for everything they've done for us throughout this entire tenure and our great investor group that we have. We've had really good leadership around here, and they've basically said, hey, obviously, we've put a team together. This has been a long-term plan to be where we are right now. Plans don't always go the way you want them to. This one so far has been pretty smooth.
Yeah, I would say. Basically, everyone who helped you win a championship got paid by you, and that almost never happens. We see time and time again guys like Bruce Brown. They're looking for that big payday, and they find it elsewhere. But the Celtics took care of all their guys, which is unusual. But as John pointed out, with that cloud over this franchise, which is who's going to be the new owners, you don't know. None of us know how they're going to look at this roster, knowing damn well that if you buy this team, you're going to start off losing lots of money because those guys. Think about it. How many teams have basically, you're talking $200-300+ million players, a bunch of guys in the 9 figures. When you look at, you look at Derek White, you look at Porzingis, you look at Drew Holiday. It's a boatload of money. I think the only teams that have a higher, payroll is Phoenix and I believe Minnesota maybe. So there's a ton of money that's invested in this team, and it's money that's well spent because they won a championship. But will the new ownership group embrace that reality that this is the cost of winning, or will they just look to say, let's figure out a way to just minimize or cut down on the losses, even if that means losing a few games in the process and losing some really good players in the process, which I think sucks. But that's a reality, though, that this franchise has to be concerned about.
I think here's the perspective on this. We don't know behind the scenes if Brad's been told what he can and can't do, but there's not much he can do to make it more expensive for new ownership coming through. Like, it would be really challenging. Like,
Hauser.
Could you trade a 3-year commitment at a certain at a certain dollar amount to a 5-year commitment at that dollar amount with an escalating deal and make it more expensive for longer? Yeah, I guess that's a thing you could do. But they're second apron already, Bobby. So you're talking about 1-for-1 sort of trades. So like, no matter what, you're bringing back what you're sending out. It's hard for Brad to make it, when I say worse, meaning more expensive for new ownership. So I'm not super worried that he's hamstrung in his ability to do his job right now. But that could also involve like, hey, when these guys come in here, they want to know that Tatum and Brown are here. And let's say he wanted to pull a blockbuster and trade a star because of whatever. It's like, no, they want this, like, let's just keep it status quo. I don't want to start tinkering with shit. I don't know what would be said or not said, but I really think it's more bookkeeping when it comes to not doing stuff when a new ownership group is coming through. And I'm not concerned that Brad can't go get that expensive toy because he bought all that. He cleared out the shelf. Like, you can't get more expensive than this. So there's no concern in that regard. The second thing I think will make people feel better about why it doesn't have an impact right now is, guys, the bill comes due and you know what's happening. That $500 million overage, that $500 million payroll you're paying in a couple of years, it doesn't matter who the owners were. If it was the Grousbecks, and friends, or a new owner, or Ballmer or Bezos, it doesn't matter. The richest people in the world are not paying that. They're not. So someone, whoever comes in, is going to find a way to get them back down to normal levels but in a year or two. So we've kind of said that this might be a 2-year run, maybe into a third, where you can really load up here, but nobody's going to.
I think it goes to a third if you win again. And if
yeah, but I mean, nobody is allowing. This could very well be a last run sort of vibe because you have new owners coming in, and they're going to want to, make some cuts here because no. And again, we saw rich teams do it. You saw the Clippers do it this offseason. Like, I'm not going over that second apron, and I'm just going to get worse. And that's the NBA reality. This is me paying the bills. These are my taxes. I'm not going into it. Like, it's happening. It's absolutely happening at one point or another.
Yeah, Wick and Co. They just make out in the deal because they'll never ever have to be the bad guys.
They don't have to foot the bill, but the next guys are going to have to either foot the bill or be the bad guys.
It's perfect for them. It's almost like a loophole in the ownership game. They can just spend all the money and sign it's not going to matter yet, and by the time it matters, they'll be like Bonnie and Clyde, like skipping out of town, and nobody.
Or he might have a seat, free courtside seat.
Yeah, well, he's going to figure out a way to have it. Wick's going to figure out a way to get what he wants, right, Bobby? He always has. Oh. Dad's gonna get him a seat somewhere in the stadium.
He's gonna have a 2% T-shirt. He got milk.
Well, I mean, the big thing is Wick is walking away having done what he said he wanted to do: win championships, plural not singular. He got a couple of banners. Now's the time. There really is no better time for him to check out than now. I mean, the value also cannot get any higher.
Also, it's not him. It's Dad, and it's fine. Right.
Yeah.
I think Wick would love to continue doing this for longer. And
it's a sweet gig for him.
I wasn't around for the show, but we did have the report where Irv pushed for the sale due to the super high payroll, coming out of the New York Post. Not much made out of that. It doesn't really change anything. It's happening. The deal is happening here, and Wick's leaving town a hero. Like, whether he owned a smaller percentage than people thought, Wick's the guy who fought to get the championship by making Daddy shell out big bucks. And shell out big bucks they did. And now you have the best roster in basketball, and your core players locked up long term. And that's as good a position as a fan as you could ever want to be in. And it's something we questioned whether they'd be willing to do a couple of years ago, and they did it, and then some. So again, Wick's riding out of here with pockets full of cash and his rep intact for delivering a championship, and doing so by sparing no expense. So there's nothing bad you're going to have.
Unbelievable.
You're going to be able to stay here. Yeah.
Unbelievable, move by Wick. Diabolical borderline, to be completely honest. His dad didn't have a clue. He just got his dad's stamp and just went to town. And then his dad was like, whoa, I'm not paying this. You're done here. And here we are.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with everything you said, John, about, no owner is going to want to foot the bill, and it's fair. That being said, I still want the richest owner. Give me the best chance give me the best chance that they might just let this one slide for an extra
They need
year.
to make it one more year because next
And
year
people are
Horford
saying
comes
here-
off the books.
Yeah.
But that's
People are
going to get
saying here,
offset by Tatum.
Bomber went under the Bomber and the Clippers went under because it wasn't a contender, and that's understandable. But to Bobby's point, let's say they don't win this year, and you're like, well, and Kristaps is hobbled on and off, and you're like, Horford's getting old. You don't have a replacement center, and you're looking towards next year and be like, I think we're going to be an also-ran next year. If there's any vibes that this isn't a three-peat team, Bobby, that you could start the fire sale now, because that's where it starts.
What's the fire sale mean? You mean are you
fire
saying
sale meaning you start to
know
sell
what
off?
Fire sale is, but are we talking Tatum and/or Brown? Are we talking Drew Holiday and because he's also getting paid big money?
You're starting smaller, I believe.
Holiday and Porzingis.
Holiday and Porzingis probably. Where you start older guys, shorter deals, getting closer to it. Teams might take it on, but you might start looking to move off some salary if you can. And it absolutely could happen after this year. It could happen in 2 years. I think it's likely to happen at some point, but you're right. You really make a case for running it back a second time if you repeat and you're going for the 3. Nobody's breaking up that team. I don't care how high the tax is. So yeah, but
you have a reason to.
You have to eventually you have to look towards regardless of the owners. You have to look towards the next 5 years with Tatum and Brown. You're probably going to have to retool on the fly, get a little bit younger around them. That's just team building. It's not even money at that point. You're using up old guys for everything that they had, Holiday, Horford, and Porzingis, not super old yet, but, injury prone guy who has a tough time finishing seasons. You're going to milk every last bit out of those guys you have. And then all of a sudden Tatum and Brown are 30 and you got to have some younger pieces around them. So that's the transition's happening one way or the other, within a year or two. But there's no reason to believe this team, if Porzingis returns to full health, I don't give a crap about the rest of the competition, isn't coming out as clearly the team to beat.
Especially if they play like they did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're the favorite
So,
for sure. There's going to be some fun competition, I think, with a few teams in the East. I don't know if we're getting into that today. Probably not, but at some point we will probably. But yeah, they're the favorite. I mean, it's really going to come down to, and this is so cliche, but it's they're their own biggest competition, really. I mean,
that was a big theme today. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be the theme all year. And we've seen it's not easy. It's not easy to repeat. As good as this team is, ask Denver, ask a lot of these teams that win a championship how difficult it is to repeat because of not only the motivation, self-motivating factor, but it's tiring too. You have to go out there and you're taking on every opponent's best pretty much every given night because you have a target on your back. There are going to be some nights where you're not going to suit up the whole team and you're not going to win that game. The whole thing, the really thing that matters is, and what they did so well at last year was everybody was healthy going into the playoffs. So I don't really anticipate a 14-game lead in the East and them just running through the regular season. I don't really see that happening. So it might make them look a little bit.
It shouldn't happen.
More
you need to manage the roster.
Right. A little bit more down to earth, but I think when the playoffs come around again, it's forever away. So it's silly to talk about, but they know it, that's all that matters, really.
Your biggest challenge is going to be mental more than anything else, because when you've won a championship, you know what it's like to make this journey and be the last team standing. But along the way, you build up this false sense of, we just know that we can win it all. We just got to be playing at a certain level near the end of the season. And I worry that they're not going to be as locked in throughout the season as they were last year. And I worry that they're going to try to hit that B button and turn it on when, in fact, if you look back at the reason they won a championship last year was because they were consistently elite all season. They didn't have too many peaks and valleys. They were just top tier pretty much all year. I don't know if they're going to play with that same level of focus and intensity like they did a year ago because they've won it all and they know what that's like. And that, I think, sometimes creates a false sense of We got this. Don't worry about what's happening in these first 82. We got this when it matters.
And their title, I don't know if you agree with it, John, but it wasn't just them rolling the ball out there and being the best team like the Warriors were during those years.
Right.
There's attention to detail.
Yeah.
There's a system. Everybody knowing their role and playing it to perfection. It took a lot of dedication to become that best team by miles.
It did, but this is where I go back and forth on this, and my instinct wants to say it's really freaking hard to repeat. There's going to be a little bit of fatigue. The season goes long. You don't get the long mental break. All these guys played in the Olympics, Porzingis obviously off an injury. Like, it takes its toll. You saw Denver burn out. They were not playing nearly as well at the end of the year as they were during the year, and they couldn't reach those peaks anymore. So they couldn't go full Denver. And you could see it chipping away at them even late in the year. Would be like, this was a horrible performance by them, So like, I see that. The thing that changed my mind on the team in general last year, and the thing that when I listen to these guys talk again today, I really think Brown grew up like in a place where, like, I don't think he's doing the things that the inconsistencies plagued his career, on and off in the past, where he'd have these lapses, at times concentration lapses and this and that. He really does seem dialed in. And I got a really good vibe off of him today, but it was really the grownups that were in the room last year that I thought helped steer them through and away from lulls with Holiday and White. Those guys are just so responsible and such grown-ups and so like dedicated to what they do on a minute-to-minute basis. They're just animal. Like, it's really hard to slack off when you've got the two guys at the point of attack just chasing people around the court like friggin' madmen the entire game. Like, who's gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna slip my assignment here? And so I think it makes it harder too. And I do think, forget chip on the shoulder. Like, Tatum's not going to come up and score 50 because he's whatever, but he doesn't want to be called soft. He doesn't want to be called overrated. He doesn't want to lose his standing as a top 5 NBA player or a first team guy. Like, that's going to motivate him enough, as much as winning again, that whole like, nah, man, I'm not going to let you think that about me. So they're still oddly fighting for their legacies there. And I think letdowns are worse because the floodgates will friggin' open. People can't wait to bury these guys. They can't wait to do it.
And Joe told them that.
They want so bad to say, see, overrated, the easy path. They're going to rewrite everything about what happened last year. And that's that. And you can't change that. If that's what people want to say, they'll say it. And these guys they hear it. They don't want to hear it. Tatum doesn't want to hear it.
And Joe injected that a little bit into the room today. I'm sure he's talked to the guys at different points. But Holiday said it. Joe said it to the team. Some people are going to think you stink. Some people are going to think you're the best. And you have to balance both of those things. Like, you're going to use the motivation of people saying easiest run ever, all that stuff, and balance the expectation of you're the best team ever. You're just going to roll the ball out there and win. So I love the messaging by Joe.
I also think Mazzulla's a maniac. How many people said that about him? Like, Holiday, like, I can't wait to see what kind of crazy shit he's got cooked up for me. Like, he came in like borderline, like post-game loss sort of intensity today, like for day one media day. Yeah. It was like we lost a playoff.
You do know you are the defending champs, right?
I love how they buy into it though. Like, there's a belief with him in this team. You hear guys up and down saying the Joeisms at this point. And they're like, even Tatum, when he was up there, I'm sure he's thrilled that I didn't win finals MVP and that I was sat 2 games. That's just Joe being Joe. Like, they understand what he's trying to do. They respond to it. He's isn't it amazing? We're going into this year and we're going to stack up like what we feel good about, what we don't feel good about. And one of the big things going into last year was, is Joe the right coach for this group? Does he got
things going into the playoffs?
And now you go into this year and you're like, Joe's check it off. He's gonna do everything they need him to. It's amazing how he's leveled up in terms of perception.
Well, it's not just perception, Bobby. It's the facts, the reality of what he's done. I mean, he has gone from back row Joe to NBA champion coach. And just like that. And it wasn't like he had a real smooth, position to fill. I mean, the guy that he replaced got to the freaking finals in his first year. I mean, that's a huge ass, footprint you're stepping into. And, I give Joe credit. Joe has gotten appreciably better from the moment he became the head coach to where he is today. There's no doubt about it. And if you're the Celtics, you're feeling good about your future. I mean, you got a 36-year-old head coach who's already got an NBA title under his belt. He's got the respect of that locker room. You got damn near everyone on your roster of significance locked up to a multi-year deal. I mean, you are strapped and ready to compete for a championship as long as you're willing to pay that bill. And as John pointed out earlier, at some point, someone's going to be like, nah, we're not doing this anymore.
So here's the flip side of that. And he said it today. I knew he was going to say it, and I understand why he said it. We got to win every game. We can't let up just because Kristaps is out. We're on to the next thing. And I understand that mentality-wise, right? I think he was trying to instill a mentality in this team. But to some degree, and I don't know how much you agree with this, Jimmy John Sherrod, the beginning of the season, yes, they can't start slow. They can't have a hangover. They can't flip the switch. All that's important. But they also can't play Tatum and Brown 40 minutes. You can't play Al 35, 40 minutes because Porzingis is out. And you can't try to start 25-2 because you're just going balls to the wall. So it's a balance, right? I want to see some young guys early on. I want to see some development. I want to see some experimentation. But I also want to see a strong start. So I'm interested to see how they balance that because I feel really good about Joe coming in. But I also feel like Joe's probably going to play Horford, Tatum, Brown, White, and Holiday a lot to try to win every game.
Yeah, it was like we don't have that clip, but Jaylen Brown speaking to the NBC Boston panel, who was doing a show off to the side at Media Day today, said like, hey, if we play like a shit team like Detroit, we maybe we'll just run that one through Peyton and let him, go for 30 that night, or let Sam shoot 10 threes. He's like, and we'll still win, which is really
no disrespect though.
No disrespect. I don't want to disrespect Detroit.
Disrespect is at its highest when someone says no disrespect.
But I'm going to basically say that we're going to have our 9th player drop 30 on you and still friggin' mop the floor with you. But he's not wrong in the sense that can be done. One of the great things of the team last year was that they could be down one guy, 2 guys, and they're still beating teams by 35 points. Like they were doing that all season long. And I think that they can do it again. And, Brad said it today, and it's lip service, and all general managers and or coaches or mentors will say this about their guys. But he's like, I don't view us as having bench players or role players. We just have a lot of good basketball players, and like, I think that's how they view, some of their guys, which is they're just good players, man. I can use them and do different things. So yeah, I want to see the experimentation. I want to see trying out young guys. I want to see games where you're comfortable, just inserting one of the bench guys in the starting lineup and be like, Sam, shoot every time, just go. You're our guy. I want you to get up 15 to 18 shots tonight. And that's fine. Do that there. But the Mazzulla thing, circling back to it, is incredible because everything you wanted Ime to do was kick them in the ass and keep them from doing the lulls and this and that. Like Joe does that simply based off of his, minute to minute, night to night, possession to possession intensity that he brings to his coaching style, and never letting them kind of like get away with shit or rest about stuff and constantly pointing out
even if they win and play great. Yeah.
Even if they win, but he also brought like a philosophy. Ime's philosophy is bust your ass on defense and we'll pay dividends. Joe's like, again, I always view it as Belichickian almost in his way. If we do this, we will win. Follow my blueprint and we will win. So just do it. And when they bought in, they got it. And we even saw in the finals changing strategy to say, well, we're going to do this now, and Tatum, you're going to drive 50 friggin' times in this game. And that's how we're going to generate things. So, he did a lot of good X's and O's stuff and put them in the right position and game planned and schemed correctly. And plus that intensity night in, night out. It's another reason I think it's in the check mark of the reasons there won't be a letdown with this team, thing. And if it is, it's on the stars and it's on Tatum and it's on Brown being too cool for school. I don't see it right now.
And it's
so
those
that's what I'm
two
hoping.
guys, Jimmy. And I get what you said earlier, John, about Holiday, White. You see those guys flying around doing everything they need to do, and it's tough to slack off. But the guys with the ball in their hands, with the major responsibility, with the tone-setting roles are going to be Tatum, Brown. And Brown, I agree with you, John. I don't think he's going to let up focus-wise, attention to detail-wise, all those things. But in order for him to play well, he needs to be locked in on that. And that's the only way he can play well. Because if you have the turnovers happening too much and the lulls and getting lost in the shuffle, that's where you see the worst version of Brown. And with Tatum, I don't care what everyone's saying, Jimmy, and you've been the king of this bandwagon. Forget what everyone's saying about what your scoring is and what your shooting is and this and that. And he talked a little bit about his shooting today and trying to figure it out. I want to see him go out there and do exactly what he did in the finals. Pass like crazy if they're going to double team you. Pass every time and get 9 assists. And screw it, if you shoot 30% and you win, all the better. I love the approach, even with the bad numbers in the playoffs. And he said it today. I played well, and I like that. I want to see those two guys. It's not about the numbers or the respect or are you scoring the most points or are you the MVP. Do, like John said, what you need to do to win. Check all those boxes, and who cares what everyone's saying on the outside. But they have to manage that because they're hearing it.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fact that they did – sorry, John, but real quick, the fact that they did win a title validates and makes that sacrifice all worth it for them. So had they not won or come up short, maybe it's a lot harder for them to continue to sacrifice that way and to believe that if they just keep doing this, they'll win a title, but it happened. And so if they truly loved that feeling and they want to feel it again, they just brought the band back together. Just do it again, right? I mean, I'm obviously simplifying it there, but the proof is in the pudding. Like they've seen it. They know what they have to do. They've proven that they can play that way with success. And listen, we all want Tatum to shoot better. That doesn't mean lose your jumper. It just means don't make that the only thing that can help you affect wins and losses, right? Or wins, I should say. And so he hasn't, to his credit. I think we all obviously want him to find that again. And that puts him into Sherrod's top 5 Tatum category is when that jump shot starts to fall. When it's not, that's when you have to rely on Jaylen Brown to take over. That's when, John talks about having the best, tandem backcourt in the NBA and Holiday and White. And then the other guys kind of fall in line where they can. That's what makes us a championship team.
And I think we're going to transition into kind of the Tatum thing because it's so funny that your best player and the first team All NBA guy, and probably someone who probably should have won Finals MVP, but you can quibble over it, doesn't matter. But it's so funny that he's your biggest question mark, and not because it's a question mark, but you're interested and curious about how some things about Tatum are going to go this year, where other people are more reliable. And it does feel it feels stupid and silly to say it, but he is an interesting player entering this year for a couple of different reasons. And we'll get into that.
I lost John. Did you John? You muted yourself.
I muted myself. First off, we do want to tell you about our sponsors here, our lovely sponsors.
Prize Picks.
At the Garden Report, we'll start with Prize Picks.
Who is this guy? Look, who's next to Hurts? Who is that guy? Every time.
Number one daily fantasy sports app, 5 million active members, easy, exciting way to play DFS. Unlike other apps, you against the numbers, pick more, pick less, 2 to 6 player stat projections. Go for it. You can get into this. Caleb Williams every week, passing yard gets you get one. It's a free square. Caleb Williams, play it every single week. You want to get involved in the action here. It's not just football, even though everybody's into it. You get involved in MMA, all sorts of other things, WNBA in the playoffs right now. Super fun, really easy to use. pick the players, pick the stats, pick more or less, watch the winnings roll in. So download that app today. Use the code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks. Get 50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to receive the 50 bonus. It is guaranteed.
Under
Prize
on all the
Pick.
Pats.
Yeah, Prize Pick. Jacoby passing yards. Less.
Under 70.
Less on Jacoby. Less on Jacoby. Also, game time. Jump on in here. Score last-minute tickets to your favorite games. Drake May's first start. Drake May's first start is coming in about a week and a half here, home against Miami. Trust me.
Wait, what is it?
Don't start with me.
John's pushing this agenda.
Yeah, it's been preordained. Okay, all of this debate is silly. He's playing week 5. They've known it all along.
Is it in Foxborough?
Yeah, don't worry, it's coming. Anyway, so go check it out.
Because guys like you.
I'm telling you right now, Drake.
It's
May
coming because guys like you won't shut up about it. And now the pressure's on.
The ticket is going to be cheaper now than when they announced May as a starter. So go get your ticket now. Prices do go down the closer you get to the game. You get views of your seat, panoramic, all-in pricing, so it shows you your full total up front, which is great. No hidden fees. So again, download that app, create an account, use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account and redeem.
Gamers too.
Yeah, CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. So back to the conversation here on Jason Tatum. Look, still bothered by the Olympic benching. We got that. Like, I know both sides of this conversation here. We're gonna play a soundbite, and everyone in the chat.
Love this bite.
And everyone in the chat's gonna say, "What do you expect?" You asked him the question. I'll tell you exactly what I expect. But again, naturally, Brown was asked about it. Tatum was asked about it. We'll play the 2 bites here. Let's start with Jason Tatum on kind of getting benched in the Olympics.
Is it something you're going to draw motivation from, I guess?
Want to address I didn't play in 2 of those games. That's what you mean?
That's part of it, yeah.
Motivation. I guess you could say that, and if you want to simplify it.
Oh my God.
In real time, it was tough. But it's and Joe, I talk to Joe a lot. Joe was probably the happiest person in the world that I didn't win Finals MVP and that I didn't play in 2 of the games in the Olympics. So that was odd, but if you know Joe, it makes sense. Did I need any extra motivation coming into the season?
No, but you'll take it.
I'm not going to give anybody in particular credit that they're.
Steve Kerr.
All right, we're missing a good piece of that bite there, where he goes on and he's like, "Yeah, but here I am. I'm on the cover of NBA 2K, and I got a big contract. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what happened. So it's dwelling. And look, again, I can have every side of this conversation, so I don't even know what the point of it is, because I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and everyone's going to be like, "Well, you guys say you want them to be honest." I don't want him to be honest. I don't. In this case, I don't. Move on. Stop.
I love this take.
He can't. He can't do it.
Can you just get a therapist and talk to his therapist about it, and then
Joe's his therapist on this.
Exactly, and he revealed what his therapist Joe feels about this. Joe's great. Joe's thinking this is the best thing that can happen to us, because the Tatum that I think so many people have been clamoring for to just be this absolute just assassin. If it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen this year. If he's ever going to be that guy that plays with that killer mentality for more than just a few games here and a few games there, it's going to be this year. He is already letting us know that he is going to be petty about this. Because right now, this is so petty. It's over. You got the gold medal. You got the fat contract. You got a championship. There's literally nothing for you to gain other than self-satisfaction in making Steve Kerr and all the factors that contributed to you not playing eat crow. That's about you. This is maybe the most selfish thing I think Tatum has ever done as a player. And you know what? I am all here for it. He is the one guy that needs to be a little bit more selfish. He's the one guy that needs to frankly have the top 5 mentality. He's got a top 5 game. Think like a top 5 player. This is what a top 5 player would do.
You think it's a mentality thing?
Totally. But the one thing I will agree with John on this though.
Here it is. I've already had this portion of the conversation. You can save the comments. I've already told you you're going to say this, and then I'm going to say, no, just dodge the question. Shut up.
I don't mind him feeling the way he does. I'm just surprised that he was candid about it, to John's point. I'm just surprised that he actually admitted that he's going to be petty.
But no, I love John's take from when it first happened. Say, look at this. Well, he doesn't have the ring yet. Maybe bring the trophy to the podium and say, I wasn't thinking about the Olympics. I was thinking about this right here. They must have the trophy in the building, right?
Again. Yeah.
Or the banner or something.
Yeah, I'm good.
They did have the banner downstairs today.
So here's the thing, Sherrod, all of the things you said, he can hold in here and use them, but not go out there and mope and make that thing, because he's making himself a bigger target by being sulky. And you want to avoid that, right? Like, you're trying to control narratives. It has nothing to do with reality. He's going to play how he's going to play. He's going to use it the way he's going to use it. Just stop. You're fueling. You're fueling haters who want to be like, oh, look at the baby. He's so sad. Yeah. You're fueling them. You're giving them ammo. Stop.
I just
and
wonder.
Also, rise above it. Give people nowhere to go anymore. Instead, just cut it off and be like, it didn't bother me. In the moment, I was surprised, but it doesn't bother me at all. We won a gold medal. It was an amazing experience with some of the best players in the world, and I got to experience it. It's my second one, and I've won a title, and everything's coming up Tatum for me this offseason. So, I don't have a care in the world about it. I'm glowing right now. I'm on top of the friggin' world. Move on. That's the last time you'll ever be asked. But every time you well, I am kind of sad. Oh, then I'll ask in 2 weeks. Are you still sad? Are you motivated now? Are you using it?
I just wonder, is there a part of Tatum that is doing this because he's trying to find some way to play with an even edgier game than he has? I don't know. I don't know. Can we watch that? I don't know, but this is what I do know. I know that Tatum, if he's ever going to be the killer assassin,
I said you guys would say this too. Guys, come on, please get to the next level. I told you what you're going to say. I
love petty Tatum, though. I love this Tatum. I absolutely love this Tatum.
Can we see the Jalen version of this question? Because there's a different way to approach it.
First of all, I'll say this. Each question was I don't want a media on media crime, but there was an off ramp for each question, which was, instead of are you still mad about it and how does it make you feel, it was, are you going to use it as motivation? Tatum circled back to it, wanted to make sure that the guy was in fact asking about the benching specifically so he could talk about it again. Brown was asked the same question with the same off ramp and answered it like this.
The Olympic roster there. How did that make you feel?
Look at the smile.
Question number one.
Sorry. Right off the bat. Not a lot of chances here.
To warm up a little. Shit.
That's how the season's gonna go, man. So just your emotions overall, your feelings. Are you carrying any of those feelings over into the new season in terms of what is motivating you to win again?
I'm ready to go. I'm excited about being back. The past is the past, but I'm ready to get after it, lead our guys, get the guys, build some team chemistry, not skip any steps, and just set the tone for another year again. I'm extremely motivated for obvious reasons, and I'm ready to get after it.
Well, Well done.
That was pretty
I
good.
don't like that answer.
Was that so hard?
It's a
But
great
you know
answer.
what, though? But here's the thing, though.
And that's the last time anyone asked Jaylen Brown about that. That's that.
Yeah.
But inside, Brown is freaking seething. He's fuming. He's
He wants to
coming
put
out.
a 50 piece on Golden State in the first half.
He is going to. He's going to find Grant Hill wherever he lives and send him friggin',
That little
posters
shot at
of him
Detroit,
dunking on people.
the
Yeah,
little verbal shot that he took at Detroit, it's not a coincidence that Grant Hill,
Grant Hill.
Ooh.
yeah.
That would
Okay.
be poetic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
like
so
that.
it's so easy to control narratives. Again,
Yeah.
this is a problem with all famous and rich people. They're not surrounded by people who tell them like, yeah, don't say that. Maybe don't get a tattoo of yourself on your back. Like there's certain things I wouldn't do. Like
Instead, just like, that's awesome, man.
that's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Totally.
Totally.
Here, I'll take it. Let's go.
Oh wait, no, that's the Celtics media. My bad.
There's certain things it would be beneficial to have somebody nearby to be like, nah, man, just drop it. Stop. Don't talk about it. Just tell people the Olympics were awesome and then move on. And be like,
Yeah.
you think? But no, they'll be like, all right, you're out of you're out of my
But
system.
but that being said, John, I don't.
Hater.
Regardless of
Get out,
Tatum's answer,
hater.
regardless of
Take his
regardless of
cred.
this, I mean, who's gonna ask him again? I mean,
Me.
when the Warriors come to town, or when they go to Golden State or whatever, like.
Oh,
it'll
you're
come
right,
up
Jimmy. And that's
again.
like the second week of the year.
Yeah, it'll come up again, but that's just Tatum. I think like even when he is fired up, it's like it takes him 10 minutes to like say it, and it's not like it's not a fiery guy. Like
Yeah, actually, that's the thing. What's so funny is to me, it's if you're gonna do it, go full heel.
yeah,
I think
Go full
you
heel.
got one or two choices. Blow it off, and everyone will be like, "Well, I don't believe him," but that's fine. And because again, you don't want to give. You're not giving it to the media. You don't want to give the media its soundbite. You don't want to give haters ammunition so they can whatever. That's why you do the Jaylen Brown thing. You just cut it. And I don't want to.
Jaylen Brown's answer was good. I thought it's
Or
funny, but
number two is I'll remember if Jaylen Brown came out and said, "Yeah, I'll remember that the rest of my life, and it's going to fuel me every single day. I'm alive, that I walk on this planet." We would have been like, "Ugh!" But the Tatum's woe is me ish. It's a poor me, and I did so well, and I was on a cover, and they didn't play me. Like it's just go friggin' go the other
crazy.
direction with it.
Yeah.
I'm
never going to
honestly,
forget.
I'm
Never gonna
furious about
forget
it.
and I'm pissed.
I'll
Yeah.
never forget it. It's going to be in the back of my mind forever. Tom Brady, 199, back of his mind forever. Absolutely. I found it disrespectful. I was embarrassed. I was shamed by it. It didn't detract from winning the gold, but I'm going to wear that on me forever. I'm going to prove, I'm going to make it my mission to prove everybody that was a mistake. Great. Do that. But it's the other stuff that doesn't help him. He's just not helping his cause. So put it aside. Just move on. Move on to something else. That's all.
And now we're going to move on.
Now we're going to move on. The other question about Tatum, this stuff is nothing. It means nothing. It really does. What does mean something is
nice way to keep the listeners.
No, I mean the media stuff is just boring.
No, I know.
No,
I'm
ready to be done with the Olympic thing. We talked about
the Olympic
that
thing
for
is so
8 weeks.
boring. Like I said,
it is over.
I wish he'd given the non-answer so we could be like, oh, good. But he answered that way. And
by the way,
the worst story ever.
And by the way, the guys who did play in the Olympics, they went into beast mode. So it's like LeBron, Curry, like those guys deserved all.
He
the
didn't
playing
play
time.
well, right? Go right to the point.
He didn't play well, and they had 12 other guys who are the best in America.
That's the thing.
Very easy to say, hey, we're not gonna like let you shoot through your issues. We got 12 other guys that can actually do it. Sorry.
There's no accountability on it. Like at one point in time, and also he could say, like, I get it. I mean, look, I know who I am, and I know I'm one of the better players in the world. I wasn't playing great. It's how it went down. It's a subjective decision. Nothing I can do about it. We won gold. I'm great. That's fine too. Like, but there wasn't any acknowledgement of it. It's kind of like, I really don't know why it happened. You didn't hit a fucking jump shot ever. You couldn't shoot. Like, as you said, Jimmy, they couldn't wait for him to shoot his way through it.
No.
It was 40-minute games, a single eliminate. Like, we got to get moving here. There's no time to kind of like
coaching. Yeah. There's no like practice and all this stuff. Like, wait, man, you don't have it. We don't have time to get you to shoot out your, none of these perennial all-stars are going to watch you shoot yourself out of a slump.
Yeah.
Next.
But this is the other thing that was a story. So this is kind of interesting and real. And again, all of that stuff doesn't mean much. Again, how Tatum responds to things and this and that. It's what he goes out and does. I honestly, I barely care. I'm annoyed that we spent any time on it. But this is interesting because this came out in the Ramona Shelburne article. And then Bobby asked about it again. Was Tatum, going through something shooting wise, or was it just a slump? And he says, in the Shelburne article, he said his mechanical, and Bobby, he said it came up early in the year in the article. He kind of got through it, and then it popped back up again. So there was an issue that apparently he's gone back to work on. And here's, Bobby asking the question. Here's JT on his shot.
Yeah, watched a lot of film. Been working with my trainer Drew a lot. Recently in the last few weeks. A few mechanical things, pick up points, hand placement, getting lower, keeping my shoulders forward and things like that.
Did you feel anything kind of go wrong in the playoffs in terms of those mechanics, or did you kind of just go back and look at it over the summer and see them?
Yeah, there's some things I could have fixed. But just in the midst of the playoffs and trying to manage, your rest and things like that, it's a little tougher. And I was still playing well, just wasn't shooting the ball as well as I would have liked. And obviously we were winning, so it wasn't the time or the place to try to fix things in that moment.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a somber Bobby question with the mechanical stuff.
Somber Bobby.
So Bobby, I know you've talked to Drew Hanlon before, right? About Tatum stuff. I can't remember. So here's my two questions to you. One, like, to everyone out there who's like, no, he's fine. I clearly he wasn't. And so when you do go back into the lab and you're fixing mechanical things, that's one, it's good, but he just started, and the amount of things he listed that they fixed was all of it. Hands, shoulders, heads, shoulders, knees, and toes, like the whole thing. Every aspect of his shot. He's like, I had to work on my getting low, my hand placement, my shoulders, all of these things. I'm like, so the whole shot, every aspect of the shot needs retooling. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, and it's interesting because
it was quite a bit. It wasn't like my release point or one thing. It was all of it.
Yeah, overhaul. And as you mentioned, fairly recent, them jumping into those changes. So we're going to see it tomorrow, right? I'm sure at the practice, and he'll be out there taking those shots, and we'll see what the difference is compared to what it looked like during the playoffs. But we knew it. You don't go cold for 3 months and not break out of it. That doesn't happen. This wasn't just a cold spell. This hit him seemingly in the playoffs. And interestingly enough, as you mentioned the story there, John, some things might have popped up earlier in the season, but he still shot well. It was his most efficient shooting season ever overall. And then the playoffs, it crashed and burned, and it got worse into the finals, and then he didn't hit a shot in the Olympics. So we're always kicking around the wrist, right? Never got surgery on the wrist. That's something maybe with the hand placement or something like that went wrong initially. Did that break down into further mechanical issues? Because if you go way back to Duke, he wasn't a great shooter coming out of the draft. That was one of the biggest concerns that dropped his stock a little bit, is that he wasn't projected to be a great three-point shooter. And he worked on things and reached a point in a form that allowed him to start his career as a 38, 39, 40% guy. But as his career went on and that injury happened, and, we always toss around that muscle thing too, even though I don't believe in that, something broke down, and there's just been this inconsistency and streakiness to his shooting. And some of it's approach, right? And I think that's a part of it here too, is the kind of shots he's taking. So I'm interested to see how this is going to go. Did he do too much here to try to overhaul it? And now he's going to have to find this new approach to get to over and over again. It's going to be difficult to repeat. Or did he just need to not shoot as many step back contested threes? Because again, if you look at the playoff numbers, he shot 40% on the open threes and he shot like 18% on the contested threes. So was it just shot selection and approach at that spot?
So that's my
question. It's going to be very interesting to see how he starts the year.
Is someone like Drew Hanlon, is he working only on mechanics or also shot profile? You know, like, because a lot of people are like, get away from Drew, who's showing you how to take these Kobe level shots. That's not what we need. How much of that is the influence on, like, here's the move, here's the breakdown, here's the thing that you do, and here's how you get your shot off, versus simply just the mechanics and the flow of the shot itself?
Mm-hmm. I don't think you mess with the mechanics unless there's something wrong.
No, but I'm saying, what else is Drew working on him with beyond just mechanics? Is it all of it?
No, yeah, you're going through approach, you're going through the kind of shots you're going to take during a game and all that different kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's all encompassing for sure. I just don't think you're touching the shot and the approach and the mechanic, because we've asked him this question in the past, right? Do you need to shake up something? Do you need to change your form? And he's usually just like, yeah, it's fine. I just got to keep shooting. It's going to go in. And now it's placement and shoulder position and all. It's a lot, right? So that blew me away today that they're changing it this much. And I don't know whether
there was a lot of things he mentioned there. And like, I keep going back to this. I think it was a Shea Serrano tweet. Like, the Tatum's jump shot looks like when an elephant unfurls its trunk. Like, it did seem just this whole, and that's what it, and it felt like that was him overcompensating for the mechanics that he wanted to, like, almost like fix in real time. It's like when your golf swing goes to shit and you're like overthinking. You're overthinking all of it. And it was just, and you could see throughout the Olympics, he wasn't only missing shots, he was super tentative to even take it. So he's in his own head over the mechanics of his shot here. And you are tinkering with something early. So it's not a gloom and doom thing, but like, you're just starting to work on your shot. Someone put it in the comments, like, I kind of wish he skipped the Olympics and just worked on his shot whatever. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's as simple as a tweak, and it's like, oh, shit, yeah, why am I doing this when I can do this? Picks it up like that, makes the switch easy, and he's right back to normal. But if it's a bit of an overhaul and or a deconstruction in order to rebuild it back to what it was in its purest form a couple of years ago, if it's something that's kind of gotten away from over time, I don't know how quickly you get that back. So it's a storyline to watch for sure. Like, and
I think it's everything.
We're watching it like crazy because to be Sherrod, to be top five Tatum, he's got to have the jumper at his, and not just the jumper. He's got to have the in your face step back jumper. And that's stuff that was, in the bubble year where he was just dropping it in people's face and just snatching souls where you couldn't defend him at that point. He needs that in his arsenal to be a deadly multi-level scorer. If he doesn't have it, or he's even struggling to hit the open catch and shoot ones, that is going to change the type of guy that he is here. And it'll change how teams defend the Celtics, and it'll have a trickle-down effect on the rest of the team. So him recapturing it or having it and feeling confident about it is super important.
It is. And the big thing for him, like you all, I was surprised at how detailed he was in the things that he has to work on. I mean, if you didn't know better, you'd swear that he had like a broken down jump shot and he was a 22% 3-point shooter. So that's a little bit concerning to me because whenever you're making significant changes in your mechanics, there's that adjustment period where you're getting used to shooting differently than you've done before. How's that going to go early on? We may have some games that don't look much better than what we saw from him down the stretch last season early on before he finally figures out how to start knocking those shots down and putting all the pieces together. Because when you talk about mechanics, you're talking about release, you're talking about the catch, you're talking about footwork, you're talking about bringing all these different things together so that you can be impactful. And I just don't know how quickly that's going to come together for Tatum, because there's so many damn things that I think most of us didn't think that he needed to fix. That clearly was a problem.
And I like your point that people are saying in the comments, oh, they still won. Oh, they're still great. It worked because everyone else was shooting 48% from three. And I go back to what Chris Mannix told me when he was on our show earlier this summer. People on the Dallas side, I know you mentioned this, John, too, regretted the fact that they were double, triple teaming him because that's Hauser shooting 48% from three at that point. Do defenses start to change how they approach him this year, knowing that he might not have the most efficient shot in his arsenal?
That's the trickle down. That's what I wonder is, again, if I were Dallas, I said this early in the series, I would let Tatum try and beat me one-on-one, because he was going through it a little bit with his jumper. So I would try to force him to take as many pull-ups as possible. And I think that would have done you a favor there. I would have dared him to shoot, playing slightly off of him, leave help in the lane, and just dare him to pull up and take that jumper. And I would do that every game until he proves he can start hitting it again right now. If I were an opposing defense, I would not be sending multiple bodies. I would just be trying to block off his path to the rim and let him pull up, rise up and shoot all day long. And that's why he needs it, because you have to be able to respect that aspect of his game. He needs to take them, but he's got to make them there for sure. So yeah, you're right. Like, these are silly comments like, oh, we don't need him to shoot. Yes, you need your best player to be able to shoot. You need your best player and scorer to shoot well. Come on. What are we talking about?
If you can't be critical of that, you're incapable of being critical.
Then you literally just you put on your green underoos and head bed. You have
way past your bedtime.
You have no capacity to look at things objectively if you can't agree that it's important for Tatum to get his shot in order.
It's cool that he can pass, but that's not why they gave him the max deal.
They're going to adjust. They're not going to keep triple teaming him if he's shooting 26% from three.
True. Facts.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a fun year.
Put on your footy pajamas, as Felger would like to say, and head upstairs.
Yeah, get ready for your bedtime story.
Yeah,
pick up your Garden Report mug.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Oh, we're gonna talk about merch a little bit as well too. We're also gonna quickly tell you about we're gonna quick move over to Kristaps Porzingis in a little bit.
That's a good one.
And round out here because there's some decent stuff there, with that. But we're talking about Nutrafol here, sponsor here at the Garden Report. And again, any concerns with thinning hair or shedding hair or different hair issues, Nutrafol proactive approach targets root causes here. Number one dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. Thicker, stronger, faster growing hair, far less shedding, just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. So it's something that if this is a thing that you're concerned with, it's definitely something you want to look into and try. It's different for everybody, men and women. So a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't really cut it. Nutrafol has a lot of different formulas that you can check out, and you should go on the website and check it out and see which one is right for you. Physician formulated, 100% drug-free ingredients, healthy hair growth from within, as we said, by targeting key root causes of thinning, stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, metabolism through whole body health. So again, get the results you can run your fingers through. For a limited time, Nutrafol offering our listeners here at the Garden Report $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code GARDEN. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. It's Nutrafol.com. That's spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code GARDEN. Once again, Nutrafol.com. Promo code GARDEN. Moving on to Kristaps Porzingis. We love to see it. We love to hear it. Look, every injury update you're going to get is always going to be like, oh, I'm good and blah, blah, blah. I was actually, Bobby, I don't know if I'm reading into this. I was fairly encouraged by what he and what Brad had to say on the matter today. We'll play the soundbite and react to it as well.
Yeah, no, walking obviously with nothing. I'm running. I'm on the court, shooting, normal. I'm doing a lot of stuff, honestly. I was already kind of with some light contact doing some stuff also. And yeah, felt really good afterwards. So I think it's a really good sign that we have from the other day. And again, I'm optimistic as always.
Did you say you are running?
Yeah.
And was the light contact like recently, like last week or soon?
Yeah. It was what was it? During the weekend, I think. Yeah.
He's very optimistic. I think I don't know that we're interested in putting a timeline on him because the injury is unique. But as far as how he feels and the progress that he's made, I'd say we're very, very pleased with where he is, and maybe a little surprised.
That was my favorite comment there, the Brad surprise, because
maybe a little surprised.
They are notoriously Celtics and a lot of organizations, if they're smart, notoriously conservative when it comes to projecting return times, and because it puts the pressure on the athlete. If you say, oh, back by Thanksgiving and they're not ready, it's like, what's wrong with them? Are they milking it? And they don't like to do that. So they usually just say when he's ready, he's ready. But to kind of throw a little bit of optimism there, and Brad's extremely guarded and careful with what he says. He's actually maybe the king of the talk and say nothing, but make you feel like he's saying something club. He's phenomenal at that. He makes you feel like he said something, but then you go look at the transcript and he said nothing. He said nothing to you.
It's a great magic trick.
It's a great trick. Theo Epstein was phenomenal at that too. Phenomenal at it. He'd make you feel like he was talking right to you and he wouldn't say a thing. But that was pretty encouraging, wouldn't you say, Bobby? I mean, you were there and you heard it. I mean, right now he's basically doing the same amount of stuff that he was doing before he played in the finals. Like, yeah, same level of basketball involvement at this point, and we're technically 3 months from the target date.
And you've trained me to be pessimistic, John. I felt going into the summer and throughout the summer like this was a major concern, his absence over a long period to start this year. But I hear this and it brings me back to those discussions we had going into the finals where we're like, I don't know, he's been out for 2 months. It's going to be tough to jump back into a finals game. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. And then he comes out and has the biggest game anyone had last year. So it reminded me of those comments from him going into that. Now, obviously, his return isn't imminent. He said a little bit as well that the regular season is going to give him more time to be cautious and patient with it. So I'm sure they'll take a longer route here. And even the December timeline there is longer than the early timeline, 5 months, which would have been November. So I think it'll probably be Christmas time. I don't think there's any massive rush here, but he's ahead of schedule and feels pretty good about where he's at, it feels like right now. So I don't know anything about the injury. None of us do. It isn't an injury that you hear ever. Everything I've been told is that there's not a long-term impact to it, and that was my biggest concern. Is he going to come back and not be the same guy? Is there going to be lingering effects? Will he miss more time after he comes back? None of that seems to be a concern. You just heal those ligaments, and then you're back. So that's the biggest thing, Jimmy. Forget whether it's November, December, January, February. When he comes back, is he the Porzingis we saw last year? He feels pretty good about that. He even said going through what he did last year and at other points in his career makes him pretty confident he's not going to be rusty when he comes back. And again, he stepped into a finals game after not playing for like 6 weeks and just absolutely destroyed the Mavs. So that makes me all the more confident that we're going to see a good version of Kristaps here. And that should make you pretty confident about what this team's going to be come playoff time. I guess the only thing you're worried about at this point is he just seems to get hurt over and over and over again. And it was so great last regular season. They managed him perfectly. and then he barely played in the playoffs and had to have this surgery. So is something else going to happen once he comes back? That's what you worry about. It's just been a lot of freaky stuff with him, unfortunately.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not so much I'm worried about him not looking like himself when he does come back or sustaining that same injury again. It's just kind of like there's always something that comes up, and it could be something different. It could be something that's never happened before, which is what he's going through right now. So I'm just going to hope that whatever he's going through now, he can make a full recovery. It sounds like he is, and they're not concerned about anything lingering. And then when he comes back, he can stay on the court. And that's why I say, like, I'm not really too concerned about the date. If it's late November or mid-December or late December, what's the difference? As long as when he comes back, he's ready to go and he can stay healthy. And like you said, he's just got to be healthy going into the playoffs and then like actually last into the playoffs this time. But there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's some guys are just built differently than other guys. I mean, he's long and skinny. He's got those long legs and he's more susceptible.
This is why he's on the Celtics. If he was healthy
injury.
and great and the guy he was supposed to be coming in the league, he wouldn't be on the Celtics.
Exactly. That is exactly the case.
Facts.
So you're living with this. It's like Gronk back in the day, John.
So to answer this lower third, I think he will return to full health. How long will that stay? Nobody knows that answer. Wouldn't want to.
Do they need him?
Yes.
Do they need him to be
in the playoffs?
available?
Yeah,
I think they need him. Yeah, I think they need him in the playoffs. You're assuming health around the league, so if that's the case, then yes, you need him.
Yeah, it's a good point.
There's not enough people behind him, as we're going to find out.
And I'll say it over and over and over again. And by the way, it's not great that the two backups had surgery too, although it sounds like they're ready to go.
You're right about that.
I'll go crazy. Maybe on opening night, right? It's opening night. Everybody's back. Everybody's fresh. Please don't play Horford 40 minutes against the Wizards and the Pistons to get by. Play the other guys.
I don't think
this
they're
can't be. Here's the difference, right? And I think we all feel like Porzingis will be fine when he's back. But while he's out, don't play Horford 40 minutes. You have other guys. You have other things. Luke's perfectly capable here. I want to see what
Tillman's made of. I was waiting for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby.
Is he?
I want to see what Cato's made of.
Drink. Yeah.
So don't spend this period. Here's the difference.
Anybody
right?
else you want to shout out that shouldn't be on the court?
Everyone's gonna say, "Oh, it was fine." They won all those games in the playoffs without him. Well, the benefit in the playoffs is that you're playing Horford 40 minutes anyway, so there's no different. You're just putting Horford in the starting lineup and playing him huge minutes to get by. You can't do that in the regular season. You're trying to manage Horford, and part of the reason you were able to manage Horford last regular season is because Porzingis was there. This is like when Robb was here. Robb would go down, and Horford would have to play 40 minutes. And yes, Horford's going to be ready. Whatever he does to prepare, it's incredible. He seems to be able to sustain the massive burden they put on him. But you don't want to do that. He's 38. Every year you continue to put that load on him is going to add up. And you want him to be Horford in the playoffs, not in the first portion of the season. So, they got staff and numbers and research and all that. They'll sit Horford in different spots early on. I'm sure they're not going to play him in inordinate amount. But that's the one thing you can't do is put all this burden on Horford. Kornet can win you games. Tillman, I'm glad he figured out his knee thing. I hope that surgery he had on it worked because that definitely hampered him last year.
Yeah, he looked like a 75-year-old man. Like I really hope
this might be how he looks.
I really hope to see a different guy because he looked really old and slow.
I thought he had seen some shit.
Because I like that dude a lot. Yeah.
I think he's gonna Tillman. We're not talking about Tillman, but I think he is gonna be a good piece on this team.
For what it's worth, Horford didn't have a 40-minute game during the regular season last year. He
averaged 26. They got the minutes down, but Porzingis was pretty available during the year.
He missed like 30 games. But it was what you did see most of the time. I feel, and I don't have the numbers to fully back it. It does feel every time every time you pushed Al to a 35 plus limit, the next game was a bit of a dud, like you squeeze everything you have out of him in those games. So he's not playing back-to-backs already, but I really do think you got to be careful, even, with an off night, you really just got to set a cap on it and say he's playing 28 minutes a night, and I don't give a crap what the score is. And that's it. That's how you deal with that. It's not a hard minutes restriction, but you really only go over it if all right, I'm pushing a couple more minutes here in the stretch, but just build your rotation that way, where that's what he's expected to play. And that's how you have to have discipline there. And you're right. You don't want Crazy Joe to be like, I gotta win them all. That's definitely don't want that.
That's one of my questions. It's going to be hard to scout. And I get it, right? It's hard as a coach. You're not going to go into the game and be like, yeah, whatever, we can let this fight. No coach is going to do that. I don't know how you go about managing that. It's going to be on Brad. It's going to be on the staff there to pull guys out.
Yeah, look at it. Yeah, it's not crazy. Other teams do this with their stars because they look at the long-term value. It's important to teams. The Bucks have tried in the past. It doesn't always work, but they try to manage Giannis's minutes. Other teams are just this is where I want to go with this. I don't think it's unreasonable to manage Al and just.
I don't think it's the coaches though. I think it's that science staff and all the guys who make those decisions. And Joe will listen to them, I'm sure, when that needs to happen, and they'll sit Horford a ton. I'm sure
it's just common sense. He's just getting older, and I think you got to be careful.
Because if he's been so healthy, if he goes down for any amount of time, all of a sudden it's like alarms going off. And I've said this already, actually, and I still feel this way. They're going to miss O'Shea just a little bit. It was nice having him in the mix just for some different looks, different lineups. He was part of this equation that got you through last regular season while you were resting these guys and managing it. Now you don't have that, and you didn't really replace that. And that goes back to Grant. I didn't love that they lost Grant all those years ago. And you don't have that 4 guy that allows you to play a little small and more versatile. So I don't know. Can Tillman let you do that? So much of it's still on Al, because Al's always in those double big lineups too. And Tillman didn't have the greatest second half after that deadline deal. Luke was pretty good all year. Keita, you saw him in tiny spurts. So you don't know what that's going to be at this point. So I feel like they're going to be watching that very closely. Again, back to our first conversation we had tonight, you have almost no flexibility money-wise and move-wise to do anything. So this is kind of it. Is Luke, Keita, Tillman enough at that spot with Porzingis side? It's going to have to be.
Yeah, they didn't utilize O'Shea regularly enough for it to be a concern that he's not around.
It's too bad. I don't – he wanted to play more. He probably would have played more on this team. They brought Lonnie. They gave Lonnie his number. I hope that works out, but that's not really a position of need. And O'Shea's still out. It kind of bums me out. O'Shea helped you last year. I know he probably didn't feel great about his role or how much he was playing, but he could have opted in and just made that guaranteed money and been a good piece on this team this year. And it's September 24th, and he's still is he going to play in the G League? I don't know. It's too bad. He should be on this team.
If we could list the 500 concerns with this team right now, O'Shea Brissett not being on the team might make the list.
I hear Grant too.
Yeah. But
My God, dude.
But these are champagne problems. If missing your 11th man who played once every 4 games is a concern, you do not have a lot
forward, Bobby. He should forward.
You do not have a
well,
lot.
You know how I feel about Shireman, and I'm very excited. So I guess the silver lining there is that he's going to be able to play. But back to that, Joe. Yeah, how great does Joe feel about playing a rookie when you need to? And
again, if
Springer's essentially a rookie.
If you can shoot, and Shireman has a much better chance to it with Ime. Shireman wouldn't see the floor because you got to defend. With Joe, if you can't shoot threes, you cannot have a regular role on this team. You really can't. Unless you're a big. But nobody outside of the bigs can guarantee themselves regular roles if they can't shoot on this team and in this offense. So he absolutely has a shot. He has a path to minutes.
I'm
so does Lonnie.
Excited about him.
So does Lonnie if he sticks, if whatever goes on there. These guys have a path to minutes because they can shoot the ball.
Yeah, that was another thing. I was asking a lot about Lonnie today and trying to dig a little bit there, figure out what's going on. Brad didn't really go in depth on it, and I know he was talking on the NBC stream and giving all the right answers about how I'm here to try out and I'm not on this team yet, and that's a weird one. I know it's part of the new modern landscape here where there's tax considerations and all that, and you got to figure out how to manage the roster effectively. But if their plan is they're going to try to pull a fast one here and stash him for half the year and then sign him later, and I don't think that's going to work. I think someone's going to sign him. But he's not a G League guy. I know his stock's probably a little low right now, and he's got to prove himself. But if you want him on this team, I think you have to sign him. And I don't know. Do you need him, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you need all. Why not, Bobby? I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, he's a guy with experience in that role. I know he's been on multiple teams, but you're going to be a little bit shorthanded to start the year with Porzingis being out. And I'm not saying that they're interchangeable players, but you're already concerned about overusing Horford. You already mentioned the fact that they've got a couple of other bigs who are coming off surgery. So there's definitely a role for minutes. And I'm just saying minutes in general. This guy's played off the bench. I think he obviously has NBA talent. He's shown that. I'm not sold on some of the younger guys at the end of this bench right now on the Celtics team. So in that sense, I do think there is a role for him. You're a championship team. Bring in a vet that can come in on a moment's notice and eat 12 minutes if you need it, on an off night, on a night where you're punting or whatever, just eat minutes.
Yeah, he's got fans in this team too, and he's got supporters, Derek White and Holiday.
He played with Derek White.
And they have a little Tatum Brown back-to-back years drafted into the same team. Playing minutes there, sort of vibe, and so he's got a couple supporters here too. I wouldn't be surprised if he does stick. And to me, if he doesn't, no harm, no foul. If he does, he did something right, and he could contribute. And
it's definitely a great fire
for your 15th guy. If he is that for your 15th roster spot, if you bring somebody who can actually eat minutes for this throwaway contract, like it's nothing but positive. And if he doesn't do anything, that's fine. A month ago, you didn't know he existed and you didn't care that you didn't have him. And it really didn't factor into your any concerns about whether the team would be successful or not. So it's just
already
it's free money.
9th or 10th on the rotation, Brett. 10th on the rotation if he's on your team. I mean, he's at the end of it, but he's already going to be more trustworthy and dependable, I would say, right off the bat than, your second-year guys, your rookies, all these, there's like 5 or 6 guys that even Springer. I'm not sold on Springer. I think I'd rather see him over Springer for sure right now.
I talked to his college coach the other day, and he said it's the injuries. Like, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to play for long, consistent stretches. And he was saying Doc wanted him. I think Doc was probably with the Clippers at that time. And there was just a bad medical going into the draft, and he ended up falling. And he ends up on the Spurs. You would think Spurs, that's the best place to be in terms of like building that foundation and having a great career. But he's just ended up bouncing around a lot and hasn't stuck and hasn't been able to solidify a role. And that's the thing here. It's tough, right? On an average night, there's probably no minutes for him.
There's still quite a few guys out there right now who are unemployed, right? Like, I don't think Lamar Stevens has a home either, right?
Markelle Fultz, Dennis Smith Jr.,
Jay Crowder.
Notable names.
Jay Crowder. All right, everybody drink.
Thaddeus Young. Thanasis.
Oh, God.
Thanasis tore his Achilles.
I know. Bertans, Brissett, there's a few guys, Justin Holiday. I think Nasir Little just signed.
Miami.
Yeah. Dougie McBuckets. There's quite a few people out there. So
that's crazy.
That's
CBA. Like they make too much money, right? If you have to sign them, they cost too much.
With the tax, if you're a taxpayer.
Yeah, there
It's
goes.
NBA, and they kicked out their vets, man.
Well, I mean, it's just signing journeyman to like veteran money is just kind of a luxury at this point. You're better off just like keeping a a G
Draft
League
pick.
shuttle guy or a
Development
draft pick,
guy, yeah.
and develop a draft pick. Then for your 10th, unless they're going to play real minutes, like you want Lamar Stevens, you're just going to keep your second rounder. Like if you're a team that isn't really a contender, you just keep your second rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
and all those guys are older now. So once you pass 25, it's the same thing with the draft. You don't want older guys because you know what they are. You want the potential, and it stinks. And these are all guys who can contribute. You probably need to expand this league soon enough, and I think they're going to do that in the next few years here. But right now, there's just not enough room.
Yeah. But it's quite an interesting list, and there'd be other intriguing names there that you could slot into that 15th
Markelle
spot.
Fultz was great a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I love Markelle Fultz, but again, on this team with a guy who's not confident in taking his jumper, I just don't see it. And too bad he hurt himself because he was trending back up as a nice little player and a slash and get to his spot sort of guy, but he still can't friggin' shoot at all. Before we leave, I think it would be a disservice to everybody if we didn't give you a little taste of Luke Cornett at Media Day. So Luke. We're glad for Luke Cornett.
This is year 5 of Luke Cornett. I think the Garn Report's been going 6 years. We've been talking about Luke Cornett for 5 of them.
The dude.
No, you've been talking about Luke Cornett for 5 of them, Bobby.
Yeah, seriously.
Rightfully so.
You might be at least 1% responsible for Luke still being on this team, I think.
And therefore, he makes me talk about Luke Cornett a lot. So he pulls us in with him. But Luke was all levels of entertaining today, asking different types of questions. And again, you talk about a guy who's happy in his role. Like, I'm not comparing Luke to Jason Tatum, but like Luke could sit for 40 straight games and be like, "Are you disappointed?" No, this is great. I'm on the Celtics. This is the best. He's just got that awesome attitude all the time. Of course, he's disappointed if he doesn't play a lot, but he's along for the ride and he enjoys it. And he's going to play. He's going to play minutes. But there were some moments of levity and weirdness. And here's a little of Luke today.
Last year, before the in-season tournament, you said if you guys won, you'd pay your mortgage off. So, with the playoff bonus, did you get to pay off your mortgage?
There's times where you have to start looking ahead to what your future financial goals are, as well as what the current financial situation and markets look like to determine, whether these things are the right decisions. Knowing what your interest rate is, knowing what's available now. We actually haven't paid it off. It's something we've considered. It's something that's available. But once again, you have to think about what your future financial plans. I was talking to someone the other day who said that like 40 years ago, he bought a 6-family home and a 2-family home with no money down, kind of inspired to like make things happen and all that. I don't know about that story. No, I haven't. In conclusion.
Okay.
But we're doing okay. The playoff bonus was great. We were able to help some people, so it was good.
Oh my God. You could tell he was just trying to make something up off the cuff with that story.
He realized that there's only so much bullshit that you can shovel before it's just like, you know what? This is all I got.
The reporters were like halfway through the tweet too. And then they really had to delete.
I just thought it was funny. He was even asked, like, "What have you done with your money?" Like, it's my shut up. It's my money. Like, but I don't think anybody expected
my
that
money,
answer.
and I'm on it now.
Which is great. Yeah. The 2000 the people of the 2008 generation had Scal. We've got Luke. I'll take Luke.
You know what I wanted? I wish, and Bobby, I should have texted you this to ask Luke, but there was like that viral video of Luke going around for a bit being like, this guy was like the unicorn. Like he was hitting threes. He was scoring from all over in New York. And then all of a sudden that just went away. I would have been like, Luke, did you see that clip? And like, can you comment on like,
he did tease
what the hell happened to your game?
He did tease a little bit today that he is looking back at shooting again. And he didn't say it in a confident or assertive way, so I don't think we're going to see it. Everyone keeps asking me that. It's one of the most popular questions I get asked, believe it or not. I just think he changed his game. Like, they don't want him jacking threes. They want him rolling and putting pressure on the rim and offensive rebounding and passing out of the high. Like, his role changed. And to start his career, he was one guy, and then he went to Maine. He was out of the league, and he had to change his game to be more effective. And I just don't think they want him jacking threes, believe it or not. Everyone thinks Missoula wants 1,000,000 threes, but he was great last year, playing the role the way he did. Now, if he's wide open in the trail,
take it back a little bit. But go on.
If he's wide open in the trail and no one's covering him, he should probably put up a 3 every game or so. So I don't oppose that at all. In fact, with Porzingis out, it might be something interesting to try. But I don't think he should be standing in the corner waiting for catch and shoot threes like he used to be.
Did Derek White get a new grill?
Oh yeah.
And he got his hat knocked off.
All new chompers. He's got
the pearly whites. Yeah.
It's all glass. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. It would have been sick if he just went like gold plated, just like totally shocked everybody. But that's not.
He's got the chompers now.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. It's Matt Dillon and Something About Mary. You know. He's
yeah.
His dad told me that was not the first time he chipped that. He's chipped that tooth like 1,000,000 times, apparently. Huh? So it hasn't been
expensive chip.
It hasn't been fun for him at the dentist. I think he said he has to go again.
Yeah, what I saw on Twitter, he's got like a few root canals or something like that, or he had them, or
yeah,
that's what happens. Done. You have the root canal and then you cap them, you know, and so like you shave it down and then you put the crowns on it, and that's kind of what ends up happening to those like chipped teeth, dead teeth, or whatever, and that's like basically the process. So he probably had it done to the whole friggin' front, you know, and crowns inserted and all of that stuff. So that's it.
A little painful.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to do to be Derek White.
That's what you got to do. That's a day in the life of Derek White. But anyway, that's it.
White.
One more time, and we don't have the new shit yet, but it's coming, Jimmy, right?
We're cooking up some stuff in the lab. Yeah, we're cooking up.
We need a Cornet shirt.
Well, that might have to happen since he's gonna have 20 minutes a game apparently to start the season.
We still have this deal, Jimmy?
We do. It's still, we're going to have to change the code, but we still have this deal right now. Oh, I don't know. It says, I don't know. That's a good question. I should know that. There's only one way to find out. Type it in. And if if it doesn't work, we'll give you a different code. But we got hard hats still going. Guys, get your hard hats. We want to fill the TD Garden with hard hats. We sold a ton of them during the playoff run. Obviously, that was going to tail off a little bit over the summer. But if you're going to the Garden this year, if you're going to the bars, get your hard hats ready. They're going to be working hard all season. So we want to represent. Obviously, we get the T-shirts in there. The banner T-shirt. The people who got the banner T-shirt rave about it. The name T-shirt right there. And the good news, all those players are back. So this T-shirt still rocks. And that's another thing that you could wear all season long. Whether you're
I got it, Jimmy. He's your third center right across.
Bobby's dying for the he's your third center shirt
because he wants the royalties.
The problem is he's not your third center anymore.
No, he's your backup.
Center.
He is your second center this year. Get ready.
That a drop?
That was a drop. Yeah, believe it or not.
No, it wasn't a recreation. No.
Well, yeah, we're gonna try to come up with something else fresh, and I'm still looking for a Patriots T-shirt idea. I wish that they weren't so freaking bad.
Yeah.
But
to May or not to May.
I said
John will buy those out.
I texted John. I said, "How about a Play May T-shirt?" But
he's just gonna hand them out outside the door.
Might be a short shelf life if John gets what he wants in about 6 days or whatever it is.
I gotta say, John, you've shifted me a little bit on it, not because I like it, but because I just think it's reality. And then the Daniels thing last night, I was like, because I didn't think that was possible on that team.
So it's not a direct comparison.
Daniels look good.
I'll end it here on the Drake May stuff. Everybody who's for playing Drake May agrees with everything people who are against it believe.
We're just
He's
responsible adults, and you're just a child that just wants to play
No,
with his
it's
toys.
not. He's not ready. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be hard against that line. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw interceptions, blah, 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 and all of those things. And everyone on my side is like, yup. The only place we differ is
you don't care.
We don't believe it's going to turn his brain to goo, and he's never going to be able to play football again. And the biggest knock on Drake May right now is what? Like, why everyone's drawing the distinction between him and Jaden Daniels, which is what? Jaden Daniels started 5 years of college. Drake May only played 2 years. So you think the recipe for someone, and the biggest criticism against him is that they haven't played enough football, is to have them play no football? I don't understand it. Like, you're gonna play, you're gonna learn, it's gonna be rough, and then 5-6 games from now, chances are you'll have learned something. He's learned. What do you think he's learned from watching Jacoby Brissett throw for 90 yards a game? Like, it's like, come on, man.
That's the problem. It should have never been Brissett, but here we are.
The mistake was when they drafted him, everything they did in camp should have been installing an offense, playing around his strengths, giving him all of the starters reps, and having Jacoby there as a break glass in case of emergency, which is, it's not going as planned. We're going to give him a little bit more time. But everything should have been built. That would have been the valuable experience that you could have gotten. More reps in the preseason, more reps with the ones, and then you could have entered with a passable offensive line in week 1 at least and played.
Come on. I mean,
now it's getting grisly because the backups have backups. So now it's getting very hard to make that call.
Well, could be because guys are getting banged up and everything, but he's still
now the shitty backup O linemen are being their backups are playing, and now it's worse. Yeah,
he's still going to get reps in practice. He's still going to play. I think he's going to play more weeks than I think he's going to start more weeks than Jacoby's going to start when it's all said and done. I'm fine with him not starting week 1. I know that's what you wanted, but if it's week 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, what's the difference? Really, what's the difference? I mean, I was hoping that he would get a little bit more experience, get in the film room, come in maybe on some garbage time minutes like he did last week, get the training wheels off.
I get it, but it's like we keep saying things like, oh my God, he's only started 26 games in college, and Jaden Daniels started 55. How many did CJ Stroud start in college? 25. So come on, it's like they're football players, man. Like it's gonna be goofy. It's not gonna be great. It's gonna make a lot of mistakes. There's gonna be a lot of like, oh shit moments in there, but like it's coming. It's coming at some point. Like, rip off the Band-Aid and get there. And I said this earlier, I really do think it's preordained. They've known all year long they're starting in week 5. That's kind of the targeted portion, and you're going to see the drips and drabs of information about like, oh, he's starting to look really good, and they're starting to feel good about him and the confidence. There was already one. Breer went out and put something out there too, which is like the momentum for me.
Wouldn't that have to happen like now?
They knew it. They're like, after the Niners he plays. They've always
get
known.
ready.
Tomorrow's their
ready,
big media day, right? I mean, Wednesday is typically a big day in Gillette, right? I mean, we're going to hear this tomorrow if you're saying he's going to play Sunday.
No. After the Niners he plays. I think it's
okay.
Yeah.
Well, get ready, Jimmy. When he comes in and plays bad, John's gonna be like, he was never good anyway.
But
it's a win-win for John for sure.
No, but that's the whole point. Is if he's not good,
you'll never take responsibility for ruining him.
No, you want to find out an issue. You want to find out right away. Again, was Zach Wilson ruined by the Jets, or is he an absolute garbage quarterback?
No, I thought he sucked when he got drafted.
He sucked the second he walked down there. He didn't do anything well. There was no.
Both can be true.
No, because the other quarterbacks they tried to ruin, Darnold and Geno Smith, showed that they can actually play the position.
Yeah.
So again, it's like even in bad, I think bad is bad. And good is good. And like, you'll be okay. Like, plenty of people have played and struggled and eaten shit and gotten sacked and thrown a ton of picks. And then they ended up being Peyton Manning, like that's good is good. Bad, it's almost better after a year or two be like, this guy's a train wreck. Like, I don't think you're speeding him up so much that you're going to break his brain at this point. You scheme it up. You call it. Look what they did with Mac year one, and Mac was smart, but they schemed it up. They tried to make it so he could make easy throws. Everything was controlled and contained. Didn't take big shots downfield. Everything was designed to get it out quick. Scheme it up a little. Put the kid out there once you get your line healthy, and just hold your breath and see what happens. Like it's happening. It's happening.
I just wish the line
embrace it.
I just wish the line wasn't so bad.
It's a disgrace.
That's all.
It's really bad. But Washington, and again, we're not comparing him to Daniels, but Washington's bad.
Yeah. I'm comparing him to Daniels.
that.
I will compare him to Daniels.
Guys, I'm going to address this because I've actually done the work on this. Everyone making this point continues to make the wrong point. And again, I went back to 2008. 19 of the 29 quarterbacks drafted in the first 7 picks started week 1. Another 5 played 12 games or more. Another one played 7, Jared Goff. That's almost all of them. The 3 names left out of those 29, Jamarcus Russell, Trey Lance, and who knows with Drake May, still a question mark. So that's what teams do with those guys. And among those names are guys headed to the Hall of Fame, like Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford and this and that. And among those names are guys who struggled a ton in year 1, like Josh Allen. Like there's plenty of people put into bad situations who sucked in year 1 and are going on to Hall of Fame careers. And there's plenty of people who are bad. So again, this is wrong. You keep using bad examples to make this point. Patrick Mahomes would have started for 20 NFL teams in year 1, but the Chiefs were a Super Bowl contender with a Pro Bowl quarterback at the time, and they didn't put him in. The one game he played at the end of the year, everybody was like, holy shit, that guy's good. And they're like, we know he's starting next year. He was ready to play year 1. And Jordan Love was behind Aaron freaking Rodgers. So come on, guys, you're making the wrong arguments here. These guys all play. They all are in not great situations because they were drafted most likely by teams who were crap, and they either elevate their situation, struggle a little bit, or whatever. It's just normal. Like that's how it goes for most of these guys. Not playing him at all is the really abnormal thing, and people keep talking about it like it's the obvious sane decision.
Is there really people saying don't play him at all?
No, but people are like, obviously you're not going to play him. Like in almost all circumstances, obviously you do play him. And if you really believe he's so far behind and you don't have a support system in place for this guy to play and be effective for like 2 years, like you shouldn't have drafted a quarterback then. Like it is what it is.
They need to really, not this season, but they need to really focus on putting a freaking decent roster around the guy, because this is the time to do that when you have the quarterback at a low financial contract there. So whatever. I mean, I'm with John in the sense where I think Mac does have to play. I mean, God, no,
Mac.
I think Drake does have to play. I'm glad that he hasn't played yet. I don't think it would have done a whole lot for his career if he played the first few weeks. I don't think it would have ruined his career, but I don't really think it matters much either way. I was hoping the team would look a little bit more like an NFL team, and maybe it would give a little bit more confidence to go in there, but they suck. I would say after San Fran, I'd be fine with tossing him in there and see what happens. Also,
and it might be a train wreck.
He's already better than Jacoby, man. When he's in there, the one throw that he made to, was it Pop Douglas? That was the best throw of the whole season.
And that's why you have to, I don't like it, but you have to do it because the guys on the team, they're going to start to check out and it's going to get bad. So you got to play the best guy, unfortunately. And
it's not unfortunate.
It's
fine.
Well, I'm of the mind that he can get ruined. I know John doesn't agree, but I think it's possible.
Maybe. What I'm saying is it's not definitive. Like there's no playbook on it. That's the thing, is like the anti-Drake May, the sit Drake May people are certain it's going to ruin him. And I'm saying, I don't know, but I don't think that that's how it works. Like I think you can have bad habits and then learn as you're going that these aren't great. I need to be doing more of this. And as time goes on, you improve some of the things that you're doing, and then you're hitting the ground running a little bit in year 2 with at least having tasted the game speed of things. Like
I was more concerned about him getting hurt too, though. With such a bad
that could happen too.
Yeah, it is football.
These quarterbacks don't.
That's a lesser concern.
I would say quarterbacks in general. Don't get me started. I can't stand the quarterback play right now. But
they're not a joke, and this is part of it.
They're not as good at like avoiding injuries and avoiding getting hit the wrong way. And I think they rely on just like the game being called softer for them to survive these games. And you have to learn how to take a hit. You have to learn how to avoid taking big hits. And that's my big concern, is I just don't want May to get blindsided and, knocked out of the game.
Oh, he will.
Well, that's my concern. But whatever.
But it'll happen. Again, they have so many needs right now. They literally need 4 more drafts to fix them. So maybe by year 5, you'll be able to surround him with a line that's going to keep him upright.
Spend some money too, I guess. But
I know. Anyway, Sherrod's done here. I'm done. We're done. We've had this conversation, but people are coming over to the dark side on it. Thank you guys for joining the Garden Report. We went a little long, but we haven't gotten a chance to talk to you guys. What is good about Media Day, beyond us doing our first kind of official season kickoff Garden Report of the year, is Celtics are on. They're in it. They're doing it. They're practicing. Bobby's going to be there tomorrow. We're going to have, content coming out. I know a few people joined the stream late. I do have to remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels and turn on your notifications. That's going to notify you, or follow us on Twitter. Follow Celtics CLNS. That's going to let you know when we are going live. We're obviously much more predictable during the season with the post-game shows, but when there's stuff to talk about, we want to be able to talk about it with you guys. And obviously we like having you live here in the chat so we can interact with you and hear what you have to say. So again, please subscribe, please turn on your notifications. You'll be notified when we do go live. Thanking once again, Jimmy Toscano, Bobby Manning, and Sherrod Blakely. Also Noah.
First post-game show, 10 days away.
Yeah, Noah, who was down there at Media Day, she and Bobby gave their take on several different topics as well. You can check that out on our Celtics All Access YouTube channel as well. And that's it. The pods are going to start rolling. The news is going to start rolling, and hopefully the buzz starts to build as the Celtics head forth on their repeat mission. They did say the word mission a lot today. Mission to repeat and win back-to-back NBA titles. It begins, I guess, officially today. So we will see you guys again some point later on this week. We don't know exactly when, but lots of content on the channel, so keep it with us. Thanks, guys.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Phenomenal game.
Forfeit's out. I think it's an auction. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.